So when you look at our current syllabus, there's a few items that are of interest to us. And this is exactly what our exam is all about. They reflect what we expect in the exam. Let's quickly run through these. So a person who passes this paper, a person who's declared or succeeded in this paper, is expected to do the following. And it's in the exam that you actually expect you to do so. Number one, look at the word. You're expected to use, not to explain, no, but to use. To use what? Strategic planning and control models. So we've got some models here. So in the first area, we're talking about planning and control. We're talking about planning and control, very important components of performance management. So are you able to use strategic planning, control, and control models to plan and monitor organization performance? So the issue here is, what are these models? What are planning? There are two types. There's planning and control models. So the simple question is, what are these models? If Mr. Piri asks me to list these models now, are you able to list them for me? If I say, please, everybody take a piece of paper or go to your word processor and you list for me the strategic planning and control models, are you able to list them? Secondly, are you able to tell me how they're used to monitor organization performance? So the word here is, it's a high level word, verb. It says you must use. Number two, what is it that can stand in the way of performance of the organization? We're still in the COVID pandemic. We'll see what it has done. And what can stand in the way of performance is what? Is risk and uncertainty. We have seen what a risk that crystallizes can do, isn't it? Basically paralyzing the whole world. So the point is, assess the impact. You must be able to assess upfront the impact of risk and uncertainty on our organization performance. So upon completion, or people pass this paper must be able to tell us something about how do we assess and manage risk and uncertainty, because risk and uncertainty are key variables that may influence our organization performance. So A and B are done. We have discussed A and B. And when we are going through them ourselves, we're going to combine them. A and B will simply be combined. And this will be our task for the next session. The next session or the next weekend, that is when we'll look at these items here. As managers, what do you need to run your organization? What do you need to manage performance? I'm sure you agree with me that, Mr. Piri, what we need is information. We need effective information, relevant information, so that we monitor the performance of our organization. So then, the area C of the syllabus says, identify and evaluate the design features of an effective performance management information and monitoring system. So how does an effective performance management information look like? What are some of the features? Not only that, and recognize the impact of developments in technology on performance measurement and management systems. So what's the impact of the developments? The new developments in information systems, how do these impact on how we measure performance and how we manage performance? Now, with the benefit of past papers, we can readily say that There's more or less the same type of question that comes in our exams on this item. Yeah. And some of you may have identified, yes, time and again, we've seen the examiner talk about the concept of a unified database or ERPS, Enterprise Resource Planning System, as one of the key developments on how we can actually make our information system more effective. Instead of having isolated or silos of information, we can have a comprehensive, well-structured information via unified databases or having an ERP in place. The major area of this syllabus, which I'm going to zero in today, is here. I always consider this to be the real issue. This will be covered together with that in our next class. Today, I want to zero in on these two. That is what I want to zero in on. Apply appropriate strategic performance measurement techniques in evaluating and improving organization performance. I always say that this sounds quite complicated and big. Apply appropriate strategic performance measurement techniques. That sounds quite scary, you know, when you look at it. So what are they talking about here? But we'll simplify it for you. Now, of interest here is this expression, apply appropriate. Forget about that. Let's think about apply. So in a paper PM, we used to give you ratios to calculate and comment. Part of the work we do here relates to performance measures or ratios. But here, you are the one who will tell us what you think is an appropriate ratio. And that's really learning outcome, key learning outcome. You are a senior performance management consultant. And your role is not telling us really how an organization is performing. That will be done by your juniors. Your role is to tell us about the appropriateness of the system that we're using to measure and manage performance. So in terms of ratios, you're the one who's supposed to tell us that, wait a minute, you're a service organization. You are a service organization. So if you use so much of ROS, you've got very few assets. Your asset base is very low. So your ROS will be very high. Why? Because you've got a small asset base, because of the nature of your operations. So this one may not be the best. Maybe what you must focus on is the profit margin, part of it. Now you're talking about the appropriateness. So you tell us that no. Maybe here what you're supposed to look at is not the focus on the ROS, but maybe we must focus on the profit margin. Let us go to area E. Advise clients and senior management on strategic business performance, evaluation, and on recognizing vulnerability to corporate failure. So you see here again, we've got advise clients on strategic business evaluation. So again, there's a big word here, strategic business evaluation. The syllabus has used big words. You wonder what are they talking about here? But that's our week for today. We'll break it down into learning outcomes that we need. And also there's the issue of corporate failure. Yes, we're the performance consultants. So we must talk about the corporate failure models that companies can use. So by and large, our work for today is here. So that is what we zero in on today. So today we'll be looking at the areas D and E. F, employability and technology skills. So what some may say, how is this examined? Well, this is examined by asking you to answer the exam using the computer. This is examined by you being able to get on your computer, open the relevant document, read through the question paper, navigate around it, understand it as quickly as possible, and start responding. That's how this is really examined. That's how this is examined. So then as you are preparing for exam, as you're using your essay platform, as you're using your spreadsheet to perfect your skill, what are you doing? You're getting ready for the exam, but also you are actually attending to maybe F of your syllabus. Good, just 1 minute. Let's see, there are some people trying to. Okay, so those are just joining us. Don't panic. We haven't gone very far. Basically, that is when we are getting into our work. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to zero in on our work by going around the syllabus. But before we go around the syllabus and we show you a few more areas, especially the ones that are for today, we start with what I call an important slide for me. And this is the important slide for me. We cannot talk about the course that we haven't defined. And apparently, I do not do definitions for other courses that I teach. We just assume that as we go through, as we move from a topic to topic, people have an idea of what we're talking about. But I always find it relevant to define performance management because it helps to understand the syllabus and where we are going. It helps us to understand the question paper. That question paper is very well structured if you understand what the course is all about. It helps us to understand the questions too. So there's a nice definition there. And also I want to say that this presentation is on your WhatsApp page, the WhatsApp page for this course, for this revision. So if you don't have it, please download it from there. It's on the WhatsApp page so that we can follow it. What is performance management? Well, we say it's management processes. Management processes. And today, these management processes are actually supported by technology, as we know. Everything today is supported by technology, isn't it? That measure, analyze performance in order to inform the strategic decision making. In order to inform strategic decision making. The second part is even more important. The underlying aim of performance management are to improve organization's performance. Now, to me, that's the most important part of our discussion. This is something that I always share with students. That why SCC has put this course for us. Let's see, there's something here. No sound on my side. Okay, so some people are not getting us. No sound on my side. So the first thing we do is we ask the others. Let me just pause this here a little bit. Okay. So I was saying that the second part of this definition is important for me because it says the underlying aim of performance management, or we can say the underlying aim of APM, is to equip us with skills to help organizations improve their performance. To help organizations improve their performance. So you people are being equipped with skills to help organizations improve their performance. What else? And to ensure that its goals are being met. Now you see, these definitions tells us a lot about its goals. If you look at an average question on our paper, it talks about goals and objectives. Have you noticed that? In every question that we see, you're going to hear the concept of goals. So the primary objective here of this course really is to help organizations improve their performance, to achieve their goals and objectives. Now, I always say that, you see, performance is very important at all levels. We start with ourselves at work. If we don't perform at work, what will happen? Our contract won't be renewed. Our organization won't get anywhere. I'm not a keen follower of sport, but I know that I live in an environment where people follow soccer a lot. And there's the issue of performance on part of the coach, the coaching staff, and the manager. And you have seen, because of the nature of the activity, it's clear to see which way performance is going for a particular team. And we have seen coaching staff being replaced, even in the middle of the season. Why? The issue is performance. It's just the same with organizations today. Organizations are talking about performance, improving performance, achieving their goals and objectives. And this is what we see in this definition as well. Let's continue, because this will help us to link to our syllabus. Organization has to establish its goals. So first of all, we need to establish our goals and the objectives before it can assess whether they are being met. We can't talk about achieving objectives and goals before we set them up. So we need to establish these goals and objectives. And this is what area A of the syllabus is all about. The area A of the syllabus is about setting goals and objectives, using appropriate tools. Once performance targets have been set, once the targets have been set, an organization can now proceed to measure whether its goals and targets are being achieved. So the starting point then, it makes sense that area A of our syllabus is called what? Strategic planning and control, because that is where the plans, first of all, have to be established. Then subsequently, we can talk about it, the achievement or non-achievement of those goals. So effective performance management starts with what? With planning. We must have our planning and control activities in place. That's where it starts from. Goals and objectives. Let's talk about them a little bit more. And we link up to our exam. Goals and objectives. Now, at this point, I'll take you to our syllabus. At this point, I'll take you to our syllabus, and I want us to reflect on something on our good syllabus here. Okay. So this is our syllabus. So if we take our syllabus, the area which you need most is area 11, detailed study guide. The detailed study guide is very important because this is the basis for setting examinations. So when an exam is being set, basically, it's being set on the basis of the detailed content that you find on the syllabus. And if we pay attention, you notice that we can literally link every question that we have on the question paper to this study guide. So to me, if one doing the exam, the study guide, area A, we've just seen in our definition that a starting point in performance management is planning and control. We have just seen that the starting point is planning and control. And this is what we can see on our syllabus here, guide. We're talking about planning and control. So before we can do anything, can we come up with a strategic plan and control activities? That's the first item. Secondly, we want now to use the syllabus to show some of the key exam questions. We want to use the syllabus to show, demonstrate some of the key question requirements on our examination. How? Syllabus area number 2. Syllabus area number 2 will be our starting point for our activities. It is called performance hierarchy. Performance hierarchy. So what is a performance hierarchy? And how is this reflected in our exam? Syllabus requirements. Discuss how the purpose, structure, and content of a mission statement impacts on performance, measurement, and management. I want you to pick the expression mission statement. I want you to pick the concept of mission statement. The starting point in developing objectives is understanding the mission of the organization and subsequently converting it into a mission statement. How many times have you seen a reference to the mission on our question paper, in our questions? So in our question paper, time and again, we have seen the concept of the mission statement and the mission. So an effective performance management system starts off by understanding what is our mission and subsequently what is our mission statement. So performance hierarchy is a system of objectives which should have in place. And this system of objectives starts with the mission statement itself. Now, the examiner says, in terms of mission statement, you must discuss the purpose, the structure, and the content. These 3 items. In our exam, we have seen that you need to understand the structure of your mission statement and also the contents, because you have to comment on this. So you must be able to break down the mission statement because you have to comment on the mission statement. You have to comment on the mission statement. Secondly, discuss how strategic objectives are cascaded down the organization via the formulation of subsidiary performance objectives. From there now, we can start going down the organization. From here, from the mission, we can now go down to the objectives. And from the objectives, we can now go down to critical success factors. So when I go through a written program like this, I always want students to understand the concept of performance hierarchy and see how this is actually demonstrated in our exam. Let's do that now. Let's do that now. Let's do that now. We go back to our slides. We go back to our slides. Here's our performance hierarchy. So a good performance management system involves this hierarchy. A good performance management system involves this hierarchy that we have here, where we have the mission, as you have said, that's a starting point, which explains why an organization exists. Why did the owners found this organization? From there, we can now start operationalizing the mission. We'll start operationalizing the mission by, we come up with goals, which are broad statements or aspirations of what we want to do. We narrow down to objectives, which are now much more specific in terms of time frames, in terms of who will do what and by when and how much. After we've understood this system here of what we are aiming to do as an organization, we must also identify the strategies, which should be narrowed down to tactics, and lastly, operational plans. And lastly, operational plans. So at the end of the day, if you notice, everything that we have, that we do on a day-to-day basis, goes back to where? It goes back to the mission statement. So everything that we do goes back to the mission statement. So then, this is a structure for a good performance management and measurement system. So that's what we expect. We expect that there's a clear system of mission, goals, objectives, being converted now into strategies, tactics, and operational plans. So I always tell people that if I invited you to my organization and I told you that I'm not performing well, or I want to improve my performance, but I'm not getting anywhere, and you're my consultant, you know what you should do? You must ask me that, Mr. Piri, please, can you show us your mission statement, your goals, your objectives? If I don't have these, then you must tell me that that's where your problem is. You've got a weak performance management system because don't have the structure. So this is structure. And if you look into our exams, those scenarios, most of them will talk about mission, goals, objectives, including the strategies for achieving our mission. Now let's come closer home. Let's get closer now to our questions. Let's start this way. How many times have you seen this on your exam paper? How many times have you seen this on your exam paper? I'm sure some of you will say that many, many times. Many, many times. So many times we have seen these expressions. So what are they? Simple answer. They are part of the performance hierarchy that an organization should have in place. Remember, we are there to help organizations achieve their performance, improve their performance, and meet their goals and objectives. How do they do so? For us to perform well, we must have very clear objectives. Very clear objectives. So objectives are a statement of what we intend to achieve. Well explained. But for you to achieve these objectives, we're saying, wait a minute, there's something called a critical success factor. Critical success factors are the key factors and processes an organization needs to excel at in order to achieve its objectives. So for us to achieve our objectives, there are factors that are critical. There are processes that are critical. And it's not only one. Remember, it says critical success factors. It can't be a single factor. Several factors. So if the critical success factors are in place, then you're on the right path. Then these need to be monitored, and that's where your KPI comes in. KPIs measure how well an organization is performing against its critical success factors. How well are you performing in relation to the critical success factors? How well are you performing? So you need the KPIs now to monitor your critical success factors. Example, all of you who are on this call, you have the objective. What is your objective? Your objective is that you want to pass APM. When? In March. (2022). You have to pass APM in March 2022. What are the critical success factors? We have identified some already at the beginning of this lecture. And one of it is we have said that you need to attempt questions on the CB. We need to attempt questions on the CB. That's a critical success factor. KPIs. How many questions have you attempted on the CBE? How many times do you frequent and visit the CBE? That's your KPI. Do you have a record of how many tasks you have performed on the CBE? So depending on your assessment, then you'd want to go back to critical success factor and try to see how you can improve on the process. This exam, time and again, has been on the concept of KPIs. This exam, time and again, we have seen the concept of KPIs. So KPIs measure how well we are doing on critical success factors. And these critical success factors, for instance, attempting questions on the CB, if they're in place, you are more likely to achieve your objective of passing APM in March 2022. Now, this kind of thinking, we must take it to our exam. Let us now review some past exam where this thinking was examined. Let's review some past exam where this thinking was actually examined. So we've got some sample there. You've got a sample. December 2016, question number 4. It's a very nice question, which helps us to understand our role as performance managers. And also which shows us, which helps us see the connection between these items that we're talking about. So let us see in this exam the connection between objectives, critical success factors, and KPIs. Let's see how that was examined here. So that's December 2016. Part A of the question. We want to talk about the concept of critical success factors and KPIs. So in this exam, the examiner asked the question, evaluate how the following help our company to manage performance in order to achieve its stated objectives. Now that is a statement of fact. Evaluate how the following help to manage performance. We've just discussed that managing performance is about achieving your objectives. We have just discussed that APM is there to help us support organizations in achievement of objectives. And we've identified that for you to achieve an objective, what do you need? You need a critical success factor. And this must be underpinned by a KPI. And that's what this question is all about. That's what our question is all about. The question says, how will the following help? What are the following? Look at what we're talking about. Identifying the critical success factor. Yes, we have agreed that we need a critical success factor. We need a critical success factor in place to achieve the objective. So what critical success factor do you have? High quality creative design. High quality creative design. High quality creative design. So now your duty was just to tell us that, first of all, to acknowledge that yes, critical success factors, we need them. But what of this particular one? So you are supposed to take this particular one, high quality design, and tell us whether it can help to achieve objectives. So you must be given the objectives. Objectives must be given to you. Ask us, show me the objectives, then I can tell you whether the high quality design can enable you. So if somebody was answering this question, would want you to go to every objective that is there and tell us whether high quality creative design can help. And now this is where the computer skills come in. The employability skills, that's where they come in. Meaning, you may have now to do some cutting and pasting. The objectives are here. These are the objectives. These are our objectives, people. So remember that area of your syllabus says the computer skills, the employability skills. This is now what is needed. That in the exam, we'll copy that and we're going to paste it somewhere. We'll come here and we are going to say, okay, So these are the objectives. So this is a sort of manipulation of data that is needed in the current exam dispensation. Okay. We want our answer to stand out, so we're going to do that. And then you're supposed to tell us whether you think that a high quality design can help. Now, I know you haven't read through the story. If you read through the story, you'll all be able to tell me whether you think this can help. Whether you think this can help. Delight our clients by the quality of our work. Before we even read the story, I think you can answer that. You can tell, I'm sure you can tell me, you can suspect that, Mr. P, that is quite likely. If there's a high quality design, it's likely to delight our clients. That was an advertising company. And for that company, surely high quality design, if I come to your company, I ask you to do an advert for me, and if your advert is good quality, I'll be a delighted person. So this objective, maybe you can say, well, most likely. You are responding effectively to every aspect of the question. Come here, provide excellent value to our clients. Well, the value for money, I don't know, because if you're too expensive, although the quality is very good, but if it's too expensive, it's beyond my pocket, then it's not value for money for me because it's beyond my pocket. Give our clients access to specialist and local knowledge. A high quality design may not necessarily incorporate the local knowledge. Imagine you are based in South Africa, me, I'm here in Lusaka, and I engage you to do an advert for me. The advert you do may not necessarily reflect on the local knowledge because of why it's been done. Ensure that our clients return to us time after time. Are you going to go back as a client? It depends. It depends on probably these two. Because if I don't have the money, your advert has taken all my money, I won't come back because I don't have the money. So what's the point here? The point is, on this exam, we need to understand the link between objectives and critical success factors. And the critical success factor chosen, identified, must support your objectives. So that was the first bit there of our nice question. That was the first bit of our nice question. Learning how to link the two. Let's come to the other part of the question there. Other part of the question is again a statement of fact. It says, evaluate how the following help LAA to manage performance in order to achieve its set objectives. Setting the KPI. We agree with them that yes, setting of the KPI is important. Setting the KPI is very important. So this we agree. But setting a KPI is very important in achieving our critical success factors, in monitoring the critical success factors. So this is a statement of fact up to there. Now, in this specific one, because this paper is not just regurgitating notes about application, it says, setting the KPI for the requirement to purchase 90% of design work in 10 nights. Do you think that this KPI, basically they're saying,
sorry, sir.
Yes, please.
Can I ask a question?
Please, why not?
The question asks that we should identify the critical success factor of producing high qualities. But the answer that you've given us, for me, I think it shows how CSF support the objective. So I'm quite confused.
Okay. Have you seen here where I'm
Yes.
highlighting?
Yes.
Have you seen that one? The question is saying,
all right.
actually, part of what you say is also what is here, isn't it? You notice? So your understanding is correct, actually. So indeed, the question was on the how. Eh? Even this time again, it's how the setting of 90% can help achieve the objectives. So this KPI that they set here, do you think that it will help with achievement of objectives? Basically, they're saying that all the companies involved must get 90% of the design work done internally. So again, a good answer would be structured, would be modeled on the same. What do we mean? You go back again, like what we did earlier on. You go back here. You start now going through. You've cut and pasted, and then you start asking, if 90% of the work is done internally, do you think it will delight our customers? It depends on the nature of the work. It depends on the quality. It depends on the quality of the work. It depends on the quality of the work. If the quality of the work is good, well and good, we must buy internally. Provide excellent value for money. Excellent. In fact, they even added the word excellent value. If the internal design is very expensive, if the internal design is expensive compared to external designs, do you think it will provide value for money? No. If the internal design is very expensive, it will not. Give our clients access to specialist and local knowledge. Again, where was the advert done? If that internal design does incorporate the local knowledge, that's okay. But if it's based in RISA, it means that this may not be achieved. Ensure our clients return to us time after time. Well, if the internal designs are excellent, they're world-class, they're also value for money, then customers will come again. So it's dependent, this is dependent on that, it's dependent on that, and even dependent on that. So then, what do we pick from here? It reinforces the concept that objectives, this course about objectives, and we need to understand the link between the KPIs, the critical success factors, and the objectives. In other words, this agrees with what we had here. That question simply confirms what we saw here. And further, that question confirms what we see in our syllabus. That question confirms the fact that We must have objectives, critical success factors, and performance metrics. That's what it confirms. Before we take our first comfort break, according to our schedule, let us also confirm something else. Let us also confirm something else. What is that we want to confirm? December 2015, question number 1. December 2015, question number 1. There's something there that you want to confirm so that all of us can have a clear and firm understanding really of what our examiner wants from us, okay? So just let me take you to December 2015 so that we can pick something from there. The knowledge of the link is very important. 2015, there's a question here. For each of the 3 critical success factors, briefly explain a weakness of the current KPI associated with that critical success factor, and then provide a justified alternative KPI. So there's some things to pick from this question. It shows that sometimes the KPIs that we can suggest may be weak. And if you have got a weak KPI, it means that we're not monitoring our critical success factors and won't achieve our objectives. So for 6 marks, the examiner wanted you to identify the weaknesses of these critical success factors. Let's just have a glance at the critical success factors and the associated KPI. And upfront, even before the case, you can see some shortfalls. Critical success factor. I know you haven't read through the story. Some of you may have read through it in the past. But you can still figure out something. This business identifies critical success factors, and we have learned that, yes, this is important to achievement of objectives. Greater staff productivity. Now, a number of you, I'm sure you're working at this level. You know that if you have got a team under you, their productivity is very important, isn't it? It's critical to good performance, because if you've got staff that is unproductive, it's problems, huh? So you want a team which is productive. Now, the KPI which this company had set was units produced per labor hour. So the more units you produce per labor hour, the more productive and the better for the company. But they say there's a weakness here. There is a weakness there. A number of you have seen that, yes, if these units produce a substandard, if they're damaged, if they are poor quality, even if somebody produces 100, but only 50 can be sold, is that productivity? I'm sure you're saying that the answer is no. So we have not linked this to the concept of quality. I'm sure a number of you are saying, no, wait a minute, there's something missing there. What of the quality of these products? Can they be sold? You guys can even mention much more. Reduction of wastage in production. Yes, if you are running a production plant and people are wasteful, there's high levels of waste. Certainly, that's a problem, isn't it? That's money being lost. So here they say they will monitor this wastage using power consumed per unit produced. Now you ask yourself, what a minute, power consumed? Is that the best measure of wastage? Isn't wastage related to materials? Should we be talking about materials there in terms of wastage? Is power really the main resource that they're using? We can see a weakness there. Of course, if you read through, you would come up with much more. Greater innovation. Yes, we all know that we need to be innovative, isn't it? Huh? Innovation is really key to success of the company. We cannot be providing the same service year in, year out. No. So the question is, are we innovative? The company says that yes, we are going to monitor using number of new products launched. Not bad, isn't it? We're not saying these are wrong, but we are saying the weakness. We're talking about the weakness here. We're not saying they are wrong, but we're talking about the weakness. So what is the weakness there? New product launch, but what was the revenue? What was the financial impact? What was the financial impact of these new products? So what is missing there is the financial impact. That is why what we expect is the revenue generated from the new products. The percentage of revenue generated from the new products. So this question illustrates also that APM students must be able to identify and talk about the link. What link are we talking about here? What link are we talking about? This, which APM students must be experts on? It is this link here. That link is very important. Performance management, according to this paper, is about, it's about. So every time you're looking at the question, ask yourself, what is the objective of the question of the company? Is there a mention of critical success factors? Is there a mention of KPIs? So try to bring in all those things. And time and again you find, and the objective does not come from nowhere. No. These objectives, where do they come from? Where do objectives come from? They're all linked to what? So each time we look at the question, look at the concept of the objectives, look at strategies, look at the mention on operational plans, look at the critical success factors, look at the KPI. If you bring all these together, then you find you'll be making so much sense out of the scenarios. So we take our comfort break. Because we started late, we have gone on our comfort break a bit late. So we take 10 minutes, people, refresh a little bit after 10 minutes. Okay. We come back so that we can now continue by digging into the major area of our syllabus. So let's check. What does our time say? My time says 10:35 at the bottom here. That's a watch I'll follow. So 10:45, 10 minutes from now, we'll be starting again. I'll not log off. I'll leave everything running. Okay. So that we have no troubles in logging back. All right, people, let's take some 10 minutes off. Then we are back at 10:45 and you run through areas D and E of the syllabus and some questions. Welcome back.